My guest today is Louise Beech. It took many years and many rejections for Louise to finally get a book deal in 2015. Her debut, How to Be Brave, got to number 4 on Amazon and was a Guardian reader's pick. Maria in the Moon was described as quirky, darkly comic and heartfelt by the Sunday Mirror. The Lion Tamer Who Lost was shortlisted for the Popular Romantic Novel of 2019 at the RNA Awards and longlisted for the Polari Prize 2019. Call Me Stargirl, longlisted for the Guardian's Not the Booker Prize and was Best Magazine's Best Book of the Year 2019. I Am Dust was a Crime Magazine monthly pick, and This Is How We Are Human was a Claire McIntosh Book Club pick. Louise's memoir, Daffodils, will be released in audiobook on the 1st of April, exploring a shocking family suicide attempt and a difficult childhood. Nothing Else, her 8th novel, will be released on the 23rd of June. Hello and welcome to the show, Louise. How are you?
Oh, wow. Hello, Madeleine. It's so exciting to be part of this because obviously I've watched this grow and happen for you over the last year. So here I am.
Yeah, and for those of you that don't know, Louise is not only a fabulous author, but she's a really good friend. So I'm very looking forward to this. Now, the format, as you know, because the show's called Unbroken, is my first question I ask everyone is, what does that word unbroken mean to you?
First of all, I feel like you have to be broken to be unbroken. Mm-hmm. I feel like if nothing happens to us in life that changes us or challenges us or transforms us in some way, then we're not unbroken because we've never been broken. Mm-hmm. And I suppose unbroken means that you face these challenges and difficulties in your life with whatever tools that you need. And obviously we'll probably talk about it. Some of my tools are humour and mm-hmm. writing. And coming out of the other side and not fixed, because I don't believe we can be fixed because we're none of us perfect, are we? And I almost feel like I wouldn't want to be fixed or perfect because I wouldn't write the books I write if I was. So yeah, that's kind of what unbroken means to me.
As you know, everybody gives me a very different definition of their unbroken, and I like that one. It's like we're on a continuing journey, really, aren't we?
We are, yeah, every day.
Can you explain to us what you mean by you say your difficult childhood?
Okay, we now think that, we know that my mum had postnatal depression with all of us. We know that she was in a difficult marriage. My father is very different to my mother. We now think genuinely that he's on the autism spectrum. So that made for a difficult relationship because my mother, we believe, has narcissistic personality disorder. So those two characters together, it's a very incompatible marriage, and it really was. And there were a lot of fights and violence in the house. And she did get postnatal depression, which I have a great deal of compassion and sympathy for. And I think that lack of level in the balance of her hormones, I think that stayed throughout her life. And she did get chronic depression regularly. And again, I have a lot of sympathy for that as well. But she was an alcoholic and she was a neglectful mother. Her alcohol came first. Her boyfriend came first. And she made a suicide attempt when I was 9, which failed. And she was in the hospital and we went into care. Me and my sisters went to live with my grandma in Middlesbrough. My brother actually got fostered and I was desperately sad and missed him. And we
because you really were like the mother figure, weren't you? You're the older sister and you have your twin sisters and your brother, and you've always been so protective, but really maternal towards them all.
Yes, I know. It's like my brother now has a son, a little baby, Ralph. He's adorable. And everyone keeps thinking he's my grandchild because that's how I behave with him. I look after him like he is, and he feels like he is. He's not, he's my nephew, but because I looked after my brother, I feel like I look after Ralph too. But I had to look after them because we eventually came home after being in care.
But I'm just wondering what that rent was like to have your brother/son taken away from you while you girls were together.
That broke my heart more than my mother being gone. Since I've written the memoir, as a person and a writer perhaps, I feel like I've really come very far. I feel like the fact that I made the decision about my mum and there are a couple of other things that I've made decisions about in my life. I feel like, yeah, I've gained strength. I've grown up. I've at the age of 50 grown up. That's what it. Yeah, that's what it
And
feels like.
I'm very honoured to be one of your beta readers. So I get to read a lot of your books before they're even published. Some won't be published till next year. And I think creatively there's been a massive, massive shift in you as well. I think combination of the lockdown, but also putting this down on paper, it seems to have unlocked a new Louise Beech.
You are absolutely right, because I feel like the book that I wrote straight after Daffodils, I feel like, and you've read it and you know about it, and it's the one that I can't talk about.
It's genius. We can't talk about it yet, but yeah.
Soon. Hopefully by the time this airs, it will have all been announced. But I feel like it's hard to pick your favourite book. And I'm not saying it's my favourite then, but I will say I felt like I wrote one of the best books that I've written so far. Like, the idea and the largeness of it and the scale of it, it's like an epic, isn't it?
It needs to be on Netflix. It's just the best. Oh my gosh, I can't wait, listeners, readers, for you to, I know all the Louise Beech fans out there will be waiting and waiting for this to come out, but it was a different level, Lou. It was so different.
Yeah, it was. And I feel like the memoir led to that. I might never have written that without the memoir and without lockdown. I agree, without lockdown was a huge player in that. People are surprised when they meet me. I've had a few people say that, oh, I thought I'd meet you when you'd be ever so serious.
They say the same to me.
It's true, isn't it? Because of our books. But I am serious. Obviously, that's a big part of my personality. I am serious, but I do genuinely love to have fun.
And I guess it's interesting, isn't it? People would assume that after having such a difficult childhood, it'd be hard to find joy and compassion and laughter again. So how do you do that?
It's natural, Madeleine. I think it's not forced. I genuinely love people, and I genuinely love the people I've chosen to be friends with and my family. I don't know what else to say other than that.
But that's interesting, isn't it? In the darkest of times, you can still laugh. So you say that's natural, but to me, that's part of your resilience.
Yeah, and I'm probably not aware of that. I'm saying it's natural, aren't I? It's probably not. I've probably built that up. But I'm getting better, especially knowing you and doing the things I've done, at talking about the serious things seriously without, then doing a punchline of a joke at the end. Yeah. I'm getting better at that.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? It's just habits, I guess. So we know in the beginning it took you a long time to get published. It was like 10 years or so, wasn't it? Did you ever think you were going to just give up, just put them back in the drawer and just stop? What drove you to just go with it and never give up? Because now you work as a full-time writer, don't you?
Finally, the dream, Madeleine. Finally. I gave up my job in the theatre, which I did love. I love my job, but I gave it up. Do you know what? I'm going to really annoy and irritate people, but I'm being honest here. I never had a moment where I wanted to stop writing, ever. Even with all of my first 4 books having been rejected by every single publisher going and every single agent, I would have just written the 5th book if I hadn't got my book deal. I've never wanted to. I've had a moment where Joe, my husband, God love him, saw me very upset about not getting published and said, is it time to stop? Because I hate seeing you this upset. And I just got so annoyed. I was like, no, just because I'm upset, I'm not going to stop. I'm just upset. But what I do is I wipe myself down, stand up, carry on. I'm not going to stop.
So
I never would.
It just shows how therapeutic writing is for you. And I think how healing it is as well, even though you've maybe touched on different elements of your life in different books. I'm thinking of Maria and the Moon and
Mountain in My Shoe, How to Be Brave.
Yes.
Real life,
there's elements of your life in all of those books, really. But it seems that it's more than just wanting to be a writer. It's a lifesaver for you.
It is. Do you know what? I'm not. Somebody said yesterday, a friend of mine, she said, "You're not Louise Beech who writes. You are a writer. It's in your DNA." And I'm
absolutely.
It is. It is. Just like people are musical, I suppose, and it's in their DNA.
Yep.
Yeah, I was born this way.
Which is a very interesting link into your next book, isn't it? Yeah. Nothing else. The sisters and music and separated families and all of it, which is coming out in the summer, but we shall leave people to go and find out about that because we're coming to the end, Lou. I told you it would just go so quick.
It does.
What advice would you leave people with? You know, what would be your parting word?
Ooh, what's advice? The cliche is don't give up. Um,
And that means don't give up on you, don't give up on writing. What do you mean don't give
okay.
up on?
Oh gosh. Don't give up on trying, don't give up on striving, don't give up on having faith in yourself. Don't be afraid of the frightening things, but we can't not be, can we? Because I'm still afraid of many things. But as we get stronger and older, I guess we find the courage to finally look at these things with time. So I suppose don't be afraid of time. That was a bit vague, wasn't it? I didn't sound like a very good writer then, did I?
Not true. What you're really saying is it takes the time that it takes, and just be patient.
Yes, be kind to yourself. Oh, that's a big one, isn't it? Be kind to yourself.